Welcome to the East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission's meeting. It's now 6:30 p.m. So we will convene meeting 18:30. We have 4 regular members and 1 alternate in process of becoming a full member. So everybody at the table will sit in for the whole meeting. We're at, the place of the meeting is East Windsor Town Hall, but we also have Peg Hoffman and potentially others joining us via Zoom. So we have a quorum for added agenda items. We picked up another application that we're going to record under receipt of applications. Have a request under the new public hearings to move item C before A and B. And in our business meeting, we're going to have an informal discussion on the Community Investment Fund and a grant application for a new community center at Scout Hall. So would you will be amenable to changing and adding to the agenda accordingly? Okay, need a motion to revise the agenda.
What it's stipulated, just as described, or
Do we do that when we get there?
I guess the only thing I think we need to do is change the order for the new public hearings, because just receiving a new application and a business meeting item, I don't know they merit.
then I'll make a motion, we change the order of our public hearings to go in order of C, A, and B on the original agenda.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Peg, that's unanimous. For legal notices, we have 3 legal notices. The first one stating the East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 12th at 6:30 p.m. Details regarding how to attend will be published on the commission's agenda and will be made available on the town's website. The applicant for PZ 2022-12 is Jerome Swanson for 148 North Road, Unit 4, requesting a special use permit for a tattoo studio. It's map 124, block 24, lot 11A. The zone is B3. A full copy of the application is available on the Planning and Zoning Commission's webpage on the town website. All interested persons may attend this meeting and provide verbal or written comments regarding the application. The notice was published in the Journal Enquirer on June 24th and July 1st. Next public or legal notice was the East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing Tuesday, July 12th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. Details regarding how to attend will be published on the commission's agenda and will be made available on the town's website. The application is PZ 2022-9. The applicant is Carol Yeomans, 155 East Road, requesting a subdivision permit for 1 new residential lot. Map 90, block 79, lot 1, zone R3. Again, full copy of the application is available on the Planning and Zoning Commission's webpage of the town website. All interested persons may attend this meeting and provide verbal or written comments regarding this application. Published in the Journal Inquirer on June 24th, 2022 and July 1st, 2022. And the third public notice, the East Windsor Planning and Zoning Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, July 12th at 6:30 p.m. Details regarding how to attend will be published on the commission's agenda and will be made available on the town website. The application is PZ 2022-10. The applicant is Carol Yeomans, East Road and Reservoir, requesting a subdivision permit for 3 residential lots, map 90, block 57, lot 16, zone R3. A full copy of the application is available on the Planning and Zoning Commission's webpage of the town website. All interested persons may attend this meeting and provide verbal or written comments regarding this application. Published in the Journal Inquirer on June 24th, 2022 and July 1st, 2022. Next on our agenda is public participation. Is there anybody here in person or online who would like to raise something that is not on the agenda? In the room, anyone online? Hearing none. We'll move on to approval of minutes from the June 28th regular meeting. We received our minutes with a package. Does anybody want to flag anything for discussion? Or
Nope.
everybody's content with the minutes? A motion to approve the minutes would be in order.
I'll make a motion, we approve regular meeting minutes 1829 held on June 28th, 2022 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those,
Yeah. Could I just bother you? The second is Jim.
Yep.
Thank you.
all those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Under receipt of applications, we have 3 applications that we have received. They will not be heard tonight. This is just notice they've been received. The first application is PZ 2022-14. It's a text amendment to allow for a tiny home. The applicant is Lucy Foster, so it's an amendment to our regulations. We've also received an application, PZ 2022-15. It's a text amendment. The applicant is the town of East Windsor. And it is, again, revisions proposed to our regulations. The third application that we've received is PZ 2022-16. It's a 3-lot subdivision for 137 Scantic Road. The owner and applicant is Travis W. Dunger. We said that correctly. So that is our applications received. Do we have anything under performance bonds, actions, permit extensions, and road? Nothing there. No continued public hearings. So now we are moving to our new public hearings, and we are going to take it out of order from the agenda and hear the applicant from applicant Jerome Swanson concerning PZ 2022-12. It's, the property is 148 North Road, Unit 4. It's a special use permit for a tattoo salon. Is the applicant present? Do you have anyone to present the application? Is there anybody online? Help the application. Are we expecting the applicant to show up?
Is there a staff memo with regard to the application?
To people with copies of the written documentation and the staff memo, feel that you need input from the applicant, or do you want to proceed?
Have to have the person to speak on his behalf.
I would think we want
They usually come in.
You have to- Motion to postpone.
to, okay, so the applicant's not here. Want to make a motion to postpone the public hearing?
Do you want to move it to our next meeting, or how far out do you want to move it?
We should move it to the next
Yeah.
meeting, and hopefully the applicant can be here.
So I make a motion, we move application PZ 2022-12 for 148 North Road, Unit 4, special use permit for a tattoo salon until our next scheduled meeting, which will be July 26th.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. We have two applications from Carol Hillmans. First application is number 9 and then number 10. Since they're different applications, we probably should hear them one at a time. Yeah, and because different people may want to comment. So do we have somebody representing the applicant?
Good evening, Mark Peterson, professional engineer, Gardner Peterson Associates.
Okay, this is a public hearing. I'm Ann Govan, the chair of the commission. And the format is basically, we will have you present. And the commission will potentially ask questions, and the public will have the opportunity to tell us if they are in support or opposed to the application. And then we will take up decision-making separately. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, did you get the name?
Mark Peterson?
Correct.
Okay, we're on application 9, the one lot, new residential lot.
Yeah, so again, for the record, Mark Peterson, professional engineer, Gardner Peterson Associates. In your files, you should have a proof of certificate of mailing, and then we also did post the size of the property. So we're here tonight to ask for creation of one new residential building lot. The board, a set of the plans that we have submitted, located at 155 East Road on the easterly side of East Road. Sorry, someone said something. So this is an overview of the property, north being straight up, shaded area is the land of Carol Yeomans at 155 East Road, here at the intersection of Reservoir Road. The Reservoir Road to the east is Paper Road. Flipping to additional pages in the set, we have a boundary and a topographic plan, parcel that we're creating just to the south of the existing home and north of the property at 161 East Road, contains 0.69 acres, has 150 feet of road frontage, and does meet your dimensional requirements for a lot in the R3 zone. The third page has topography. There are no wetlands on the site. This plan depicts the existing four-bedroom house at the northwest corner of the property, two existing barns and a well. We did soil testing in North Central District Health Department. Proposed a code compliant repair septic area for the existing homes. Appropriate testing for lot number 1, which we're creating, totaling 0.69 acres just to the south of the existing farm. So North Central did witness the testing. They have reviewed the plans, and they have also approved the plans. In your files, you may see some comments from both Mr. Norton and also Ms. Calabrese. I'd like to just go over some of their comments. Glenn had 2 comments. The first pertaining to the water treatment wastewater system. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but when you have a well, once that water is tested, depending on the results, you may need treatment for that well. So that's really doesn't apply at this level of approval. It's more after the permit plan, post subdivision approval is prepared and the well is drilled and tested. The second comment also did not require any action pertaining to the existing septic system on site, which really again doesn't relate to the lot that we're creating. That is a couple hundred feet north of what we're proposing. So that's located up here near the intersection with Reservoir East. We're proposing a new well with lot number 1, which is well outside of the 75-foot setback for that existing leaching system. In our application, we did ask for a waiver and a couple of fees that we would be paying. The first being for open space, since we're creating 1 new lot. We did ask to pay for the fee in lieu of, our understanding that that is a $2,000 fee, and that is our proposal for satisfying the open space requirement. Sidewalks, we do not have sidewalks along East Road. We would ask for a fee in lieu of sidewalks as well. In terms of waivers, we did ask for a waiver of section 6.4 pertaining to streetlights, as there are streetlights here. And one that we would like to add this evening pertaining to the agricultural buffer zone. So what we're going to propose, just recent discussions we have had with staff, that we're going to be adding a row of evergreen trees, and that would be along the rear boundary here of lot number 1. Asked that we get a waiver in that section 2.17 pertaining to the agricultural buffer zone. Plans include sedimentation erosion controls, both the anti-tracking pad, silt fence, seeding schedules. They are shown in both plan view and in detail on the last page of our site. With that, I'll turn it over to the public. See if you have any questions after this.
Questions from the commission?
The agricultural buffer is usually established basically for the potential homeowner so that they don't have agricultural activity close to their property. So by waiving that, it could have it has to be somewhere written into the deed of the property then, so that any potential buyer knows that there could be agricultural activity.
If I've ever seen that, some of the staff comments, be comfortable with that, to the deed.
There's one of the conditions under 4E. I took the language from the subdivision rights, that's that notification that would go on the map itself.
So you've already incorporated this request, even though it wasn't previously.
But that still says to include a row of evergreen trees.
Right, so you've already addressed this.
Yeah, I put the motion in here, should the applicant decide to go to the waiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I did put that.
So if we were to use your memo, would we need to strike F?
It was both. The buffer's supposed to be 100 feet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we need to add anything in for updated drawings to show this agriculture?
Yes, that's what 4 is, but the plans will be
Okay.
modified to include that. Um, and No.
The acceptance of the fee rules.
That, we put it in there, because we don't have an official lack the animal open space to ask for an appraisal. That would be based on the 20% of the appraisal. Unless the commission feels otherwise. For any of the lots that I've seen.
Okay, well, I'm just,
then
kind of
that's
looking,
2,000.
yes, we're gonna have motions to approve waivers.
Yeah.
Do we need to approve the acceptance of the fee rules, or that just gonna be part of the general terms and conditions?
I went forward if they would be part of the terms and conditions.
That requires a separate acceptance.
No,
of
I
fee
had
rules.
read a previous staff memo that Mike had written, that the commission had discussed. You would take a fee in lieu of, that was an option.
Just the
made
waivers.
available.
If it was not a waiver,
Right.
so it's not the same level of scrutiny.
Anyone else have questions? I was just curious, when you come up Reservoir Road, I thought it ended at East Road.
Doesn't.
But there is a road there?
It's an unimproved road.
Oh,
It's kind of-
is that a town road?
Yes.
Oh,
There's a town right away there. There's no road to travel on it.
okay, I thought
Sure, okay.
Reservoir just ended there. I didn't know there was.
It comes from the west, just off the map.
Is there anybody in the room who would like to comment? Either in support of or in opposition to this application?
No, my name is Carol Yeomans. I just don't know if you could do a waiver for the trees. We do have tobacco behind properties. Road is here, the house is here, and tobacco.
Here.
My daughter owns a house south of me. The lot you're talking about is between her house and my house. She eventually will own that lot. So she doesn't care if
She's lived with tobacco all
she's,
her life.
and without a buffer. Well, actually, her property line has tobacco on it or over it. And mine does too, and the lot in the middle has also. So if you put the line of trees in, we'd have to be in the middle of some tobacco for a while.
They were the ones that proposed there in the trees.
That was my.
Well, I mean, normally when we look at things like this, it's regardless of who the owner is, it's just saying for future
I understand.
tenants, occupants, who could be there.
Regs specifically require that trees.
Something we've done in the past, and then we
Okay.
reduce buffers in our stream.
Any other comments or questions from people physically present in the room? Anybody online who would like to comment on this application? Or indicate support or opposition? Okay, hearing no further comment, any further questions from the commission before we close the hearing?
So let me understand where the big discussion is, we waive the evergreens going into the tobacco fields. Is that what we're deciding?
But we have to decide on the waiver of the streetlights, the waiver of the,
We didn't seem to have a problem with streetlights. We were, the discussion, I got lost in the confusion of the evergreens.
The evergreens were an interim suggestion in lieu of the 100-foot buffer that the regs require. So there's would be, based on Ruth's motion, there would be a note on the plan letting any future owner know that they're adjacent to an active ag operation, and then the evergreens, I think were the arborvitae's.
Yeah.
Would be to create a buffer, because the purpose of the regs is dust and noise, and so that was sort of an alternative to keep the spirit of the buffer as an interim measure without requiring 100 foot.
Can we do it without the trees?
That was my question.
Yeah.
Well, that,
Is
yeah,
there
that's why I
flexibility
got
in the
lost in the
regs?
whole, the
that was
confusion.
contrary to previous decisions that we've made.
Isn't every situation unique in its own way?
We have been female land for the last
300 years?
300 years.
I guess you can't guarantee it stays in the family. The intent is to keep it in the family.
It's on the deed. Excellent.
Yeah, you kick the can down the road to the next owner.
Is there anything in our regs that talk about if we alter the buffers that require screening?
And drawing of a buffer strip, when required. When required shall be no less than 100 feet in width, but may be less than per waiver. The setback shall be determined based on the type of agriculture or farm use, the topography, existing vegetation, and the proposed design and planting of such strip. It shall be the responsibility of the developer, subject to approval by the commission, to provide an effective barrier that will reasonably protect adjacent residential living areas from dust, spray, and spray. Shall be the responsibility of the individual lot owners where such buffers are established on their lots to maintain the buffer in accordance with the design intent. Such responsibility shall be specifically noted on the filed subdivision plan and the deeds of the affected lot, where a buffer strip is part of the common open space. The responsibility of the maintenance will be assumed by the home.
This is the term that
In
you,
addition, the following statement.
term that you read at the front of that was that the buffer can be lessened.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think, I mean, the word lesson seems pretty specific intent behind the word lesson rather than eliminated.
Just point to asking for no buffer at all.
I think because the proposed trees would be where, along the rear property line? Yeah. Not- And this double interfere with. See, I'm looking at the proposed plan, it seems to indicate that that's the location of septic, so it seemed to me that that's the reserve.
So if we're talking about this rear
Right.
boundary line of lot number 1. So if we're to plant the road, that agrees there or not. The septic systems are running perpendicular to that, behind that, between the proposed house and the rear boundary line.
reserve area. Right. So how much, what's the distance between the reserve and the property line there?
It's about 10
And
feet.
estimate about 15 feet.
I have some, yeah.
Tree roots.
Subdivision.
2.17. It's on page 7.
We got 15 feet.
But that's
We got
still-
row of trees in the middle of the field.
I think that was the other point that we have. a row
Mrs.
of
Yeomans,
trees.
you can talk.
No, I'm sorry. So basically what you're saying is my daughter's property has no buffer. You're going to ask for a buffer on that middle piece. And my piece doesn't have a buffer.
Yeah,
So
So we're looking into that.
it's all good.
We're just trying to see what flexibility we have.
The open space be, is, you know, they're exempt if it's family transfer. I don't know how we would track it, right? If they said the agricultural buffer will apply, should the property be transferred within that same period of time to my family, I don't know how we would capture that. You know, unless we put a note on the subdivision plan that said, you know,
I think it's the family.
Right.
any transfer,
It does say that the homeowner is responsible, so the property owner with the buffer is responsible. So if you buy a property that has a built-in buffer, it's your job to keep it up. You let it fall, and you get dust. I was thinking the same thing, reading that.
Way to make the first name.
Yeah, 'cause these are subdivision regs, so it's kind of weird. Yeah, you would copy.
And realistically, not gonna fly.
Well,
Well,
we just gotta, do whatever we decide here applies everywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's less than.
Some buffer. Any further input from the applicant, or should we close the public?
It's something to do with transfer property.
Something. Should the property transfer out of the family then?
Or. Okay, so we'll keep this in here. To include a row of evergreen trees, a screen adjacent to the farm, and operations. In the case of property transfer,
Yeah.
we just continue with F.
Yeah.
To say that in the event of property transfer outside the family.
What do they call it? Non-transfer. I'm trying to think of the other states.
Car tax, actually car sells.
Planting. Non-family.
I think you said, which we're racing to see what's on this can pull up the subdivision regs first.
Faster with search.
The open space requirements of the section shall not apply to transfer of all land in the subdivision. Listed by parcels to a parent, child, brother, sister, grandparent, grandchild, aunt, uncle, first cousin for no consideration.
We're trying to say
So
the
if we call it a non-familial transfer.
Yes. Could be event of a-
Well, you know, terms and-
Yeah, no.
It'd be as simple as in the event of the sale of the property, the evergreens need to be installed as the buffer.
No. Yes,
Yeah, I think it's just that
Just the
she's,
sale,
if it, yeah, they sell it to the.
the sell. So they're not gonna, they're gonna transfer, this comes within the family, they're not gonna sell it, it'll all be a deed transfer or an estate,
If they're not, there's no.
unless they
sale
want to
on
give it to me. I don't want to taste evergreen when I smoke my cigar, so I'm
So. The way I changed it now. is to Say, to include a row of evergreen trees to screen the adjacent farming operation. being- To be planted in the event of a non-familial.
Would that then be a note on the,
It's
Think
just-
you leave
we're making this a term.
okay.
Yeah, just change conditions of work. That works.
Read it one more time. So we point it in the event.
In the event of a non-familial transfer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think they didn't close the hearing.
So
No,
the
no.
hearing's still
Did you want to make another comment?
Yeah, I do, thank you. So just talking with Carol earlier, we talked about the open space. She learned that she's going to be giving the land to her daughter at no fee. I'm assuming there would be no open space requirement based on recently read. I just overheard the open space language.
Provided it's not
I just wanted to get that on the
We have the
record, that
notation on
says-
the plan.
Sure.
There's a notation that would go on the plan that says if the property is transferred outside of the family within 5 years. the open space be approved.
So do we need to have that as a condition that gets written on the plans?
Maybe.
So I think I was just reading it, I can read it out. It basically would require that there's a separate notice placed on the land records that would prevent the transfer if it's within the time frame to one of those people. So
So the transfer can be in the so anybody in the list of familiar family members you listed, but if they go beyond that,
The open
then the
space
fee applies.
is section 7.6. Number one, the open space requirements shall not apply to transfer of all land and subdivision less than 5 parcels is to a parent, child, brother, sister, grandparent, etc. For no consideration, however, that the waiver of the provisions for open space fees shall be noted on the land records along with the notice stating that any lot subject to the waiver shall be liable for its proportional share of the total fee at the time of subsequent sale or transfer.
So then 10 needs to be edited. That requires the appraisal.
No, I think they would just need to include the, that note that's written, as written in the red.
Added to the plans, or it's on the plans already.
I don't think it's.
So. we have to- Somewhere we have to add another, the plan shall be modified to include that note.
Yeah, I think it's just in the application at the moment, so we could add that to the plan. That the land will be transferred, you know.
On the drive and guys make the modification that requires that to go on the plans.
Spooling it up.
Okay.
So
I think we have, I think we did it for,
we did, so. It's kind of there, but it's nothing. So it says, a notation indicating any lot subject to open space waiver shall be liable for its proportional share of the total open space fee at the time of subsequent sale or transfer to a non-exempt person. If so, that lot is sold or transferred within 5 years.
So do we need to add another waiver? Or it's
did
just
we
a
write out
condition?
the report? So I think that covers it.
So it's open space, but instead of, yes, you'd have to have a motion.
To waive open space as long
And eliminate condition number 10. That's about the appraisal to establish the value of the open space. The fee in lieu of.
Well, you're not getting rid of the fee. They're just deferring their responsibility if they don't sell the property.
Then 5 years and maybe.
If they decide
they
that,
hold it in the family for 5 years,
Correct.
then nobody pays.
right, but you're not removing that because if they get rid of it in a year,
Then that applies.
So are we granting a waiver?
Yes, an open space, a contingent open space waiver contingent on keeping it in the family.
At this point, I mean, have we gotten to the point where we need to continue this to get all our paperwork straight? I don't think.
Or should
We
we,
need to add another motion.
or should we close this one? Let Ruth Ann work on it. Hear the next one. And then we can vote on it after we have a new. Does that work?
Okay.
So at this point, we could, if people are comfortable, and we're done with discussion with the applicant and nobody from the public, there's now more people from the public who joined us. So is there anyone from the public who is on Zoom who would like to comment on this? Hearing none, I think we could at least close the public hearing.
All right, I make a motion, we close the public hearing for PZ 2022-09, a re-subdivision application for 155 East Road, map 90, block 79, lot 1, on East Road, Owner applicant is Carol Yeomans.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Dave. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Peg, that's unanimous.
Thank
So
you.
the hearing is closed. At this point, we can only speak to the staff. And we will wait for the staff to redraft motion language for our consideration, and we'll move on to the next application, which is PZ 2022-10 East Road and Reservoir. It's a re-subdivision application for 3 residential lots. The applicant is Carol Yeomans. You want to present that one?
Good evening. Again, Mark Peterson, professional engineer for Gardner Peterson Associates. The package, you should see certificate of mailing, and we did post the sign. So this project is almost directly across the street from the prior application. On our cover sheet, it's the same orientation, north is up, east road running north to south, Reservoir Ave, east to west. Prior application is right here where I'm circling in my pen. This parcel is 3.75 acres, almost directly across the street. We're proposing that we subdivide that into 3 buildings. We're going to make a lot of the same comments I made in the first application. On page 2, the topographic plan showing 3 rectangular lots, all measuring approximately 1.25 acres, 158 feet of road frontage, line with the zoning regulations. We're showing proposed house locations, driveways, wells, primary reserve septic areas. Soil testing was witnessed by North Central District Health Department. They have reviewed and approved these plans as well. You have a complete set of sedimentation erosion control plans as part of our set, including silt fence, traffic paths, seating schedules. For this application, we have 3 lots. In our application, we also asked for a fee in lieu of, but Carol has alerted me that the southerly lot onto the plan she's going to be conveying for no fee for son was in attendance. To the middle and the northerly lot, she will be selling. There would be a fee in lieu of for those 2 lots that we're proposing. In addition to waivers, same as the last application, we talked about sidewalks and streetlights. Don't have sidewalks on this side or streetlights either. We're asking for a waiver to that, a fee for the sidewalk. We also have the same discussion pertaining to the agricultural buffer zone. Difference here is we have the tree line that comes across the southwest corner of lot number 3. That's the most southerly lot. And then that tree line continues off of the property behind the 2 proposed lots that we have in the middle and to the north.
Who owns that tree line?
So the southerly corner is on this parcel. Land to the north and west, I have one with the name of Andre Rosick, G-R-O-S. So just behind these, there's a thick existing wooded buffer that is off this, off of these northerly to middle proposed lots.
So that property owner is not obligated to maintain that buffer.
Correct.
Since these lots are intended for private sale. That's still asking to not require a buffer.
we're gonna need a waiver. We're asking for a waiver. I guess the question is whether we waive it entirely, which I think we may have done on the prior application, or put in a buffer behind lots 1 and 2. I think where there's no tree line along the rear boundary line. Here are also the street trees added along each road for the regulations.
Show the trees on the plans or just not on?
I just have the tree line here.
No, 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 the trees on the street line.
No, that was something that caught us back to do. Initially, like to see us add, which we will add to the plan.
And how far back off the road are you putting the trees? Did the staff tell you where?
They did not, but I typically like to see them 20 feet back, so you're behind any line of sight. Some car try to pull out driveway.
Yeah, I mean, that's, as long as they're out of the town right away, that's.
There's stuff that's in back, so there'll be no issue there. Some trees, the front yards. and the road. Yeah, so just for orientation purposes, this is East Road, Reservoir Road, and the lots we're discussing are in this field. Here is the existing tree line. Here on the south end, so I have a couple of views that helps you get a sense of scale as to where the existing tree line is, and the current buffer.
It's just not a take shelter or.
I thought it was.
That's all we need.
Right, so-
Send it to. Per section, so that's just funny. Go for it.
Yeah, your draft comments on this said it was pending feedback from North Central Health District. They indicated it's been approved by North Central.
Yes, I haven't seen the approval, but I know that the applicant representation was
You
in
got
contact.
approval letter too.
Okay, perfect.
We have on record that we don't have it.
You have it for both?
I do, I have it for the other project? Yes.
That'd be great.
Thoughts on the buffer here?
My opinion is since the lots are intended for sale, then we do need to establish the buffer.
That's my feeling too. And the fact that somebody else owns trees is not relevant.
I mean, with one lot being conveyed again, we can modify that condition to saying pertaining to lots 2 and 3. Is that how you identify them? That lot 1 is going to be conveyed and lots 2 and 3 are for sale?
The opposite, left.
3,
3 will be conveyed,
okay.
1 and 2.
Buffer would be required on 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
Waived on lot 3. Any other questions from? All right, open it to the public for comment. Okay, anybody in the room who would like to comment on this application? Anybody who's joined us via Zoom who would like to comment on this application? Okay. So if there's
Shouldn't have left my son.
no further input needed on this, we could close this hearing and let staff work on buffer conditions, revisions. Are you clear on what we are thinking on this 3-lot subdivision? Nope. Well, yeah, I know you were working on the other one. I think what we heard was one of the lots was staying in the family. And that would have been lot 3. Lots 1 and 2 are being sold. So in their request to waive the buffer in its entirety, I get the sense, and I could be wrong, that for something in the family, we're amenable to considering a waiver. If it stays in the family. If for lots that are being sold, we're not amenable because that's not how we've done business in the past. And because somebody else owns trade property in the agricultural zone, doesn't mean it won't be farmed.
So
So that-
by modifying condition F to just add stipulation of on lots 1 and 2, is that adequate? Satisfy you?
But we also then have the keeping it in the family
Clause.
clause that we
Yep.
developed for
That would be-
lot 3.
Correct.
With the same.
Same verbiage that we
Yeah,
use in
and
the
one, put in this one here, it's all set. There are 2 lots, they got a trees. So, same verbiage as you did.
Yep.
in one, put it in 2.
Hey, did we close this hearing?
No,
No.
Okay. With that, do you need any more from the commission before we close the hearing? Able to- Okay. So if the commission is satisfied, we've had input from the applicant and given the public ample opportunity to comment, we could close the public hearing on application 22-10.
Make a motion, we close the public hearing for PZ 2022-10, 3-lot subdivision application, map 90, block 57, lot 16 on East Road, and the applicant is Carol Young.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Peg, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
So that one is closed. We have not, we postponed the tattoo salon application. Do you want to take up the vote on these 2 applications?
Yeah.
It's-
If
Okay,
Ruben
ready.
is ready with the.
So would it be acceptable if I make a motion and have you make the changes?
Kidding, right?
So first, I guess we're going to vote on the waivers.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion that we approve a request for a waiver of section 6.5 of East Windsor subdivision regulation pertaining to the installation of streetlights for application PZ 2022-10 of the subdivision application map 90 block 79 lot 1, 155 East Road. The applicant owner is Carol Yeoman, with the finding that there are no streetlights on East Road from Windsorville Road to Melrose Road.
Is there a second?
Second. We'll put it-
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for a waiver of section 7.5 fee in lieu of open space for section 7.6.1 of the East Windsor subdivision regulations pertaining to the exemptions from the open space requirements for application PZ 2022-10, re-subdivision application map 90 block 79 lot 01 on 155 East Road. The applicant owner is Carol Yeomans. The finding is the applicant intends to transfer the property in question within the family. If the property is transferred within 5 years, fee in lieu of open space will apply.
Application 10 or 9? 9 is the one lot.
Okay, I'll amend my, my motion to saying this is application 9.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion is made and seconded by Dave Peg. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Peg, that's unanimous.
Okay.
Okay, so we are still on 9. We've done 2 waivers, streetlights and the buffer. Are we ready to take up a motion to approve with Ruth Ann's edit?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
go for it.
All right, I make a motion to approve application PZ 2022-09, a subdivision application of 155 East Road, map 90, block 79, lot 1, East Road. Owner applicant is Carol Yeomans. Within accordance of findings 1 through 3 and conditions 1 through 10. First page, and conditions 11 through 19 on the second page. Amending condition F to read 4.F to read to include a row of evergreen trees to screen the adjacent farm operations to be planted in the event of a non-familial transfer. And this is a memo from Ruth Ann Calabrese, Director of Planning and Development, dated July 7th, 2022.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Peg, that's unanimous. Okay, now we have 10, which is the 3 lots, which buffer language is a little bit different. My type of-
Is you an additional change you need to make? Okay. All
We
right,
have to do waivers.
Yep.
Okay.
so
do my-
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for a waiver, section 6.5 of East Windsor subdivision regulations pertaining to the installation of streetlights for application PZ 2022-10, re-subdivision application, map 90, block 57, lot 16. East Road applicant owner Carol Yeomans, with the finding of there are no streetlights on East Road from Windsorville Road to Melrose Road.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Peg, that's unanimous.
And who was the second?
Dave.
Thank you.
So the but agriculture is going to follow the same as the previous, or how we do? Because of,
It's perfect.
right,
It's just for lot 3.
so it's granted 2 lots. Please,
Yes.
Do the same thing with the purple.
I have to include all of that verbiage on the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone kind of-
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the request for rate waiver on lot 3 to section 7.5 fee in lieu of open space per section 7.6.1 of the East Windsor subdivision regulations pertaining to the exemption forms, open space requirements for application PZ 2022-10, re-subdivision application, map 90, block 79, lot 1, 155 East Road. The applicant owner is Carol Yeomans. The findings is the applicant intends to transfer the property in question within the family. If the property is transferred within 5 years, the fee in lieu of open space will apply.
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Peg, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay. Then do we have language for overall approval? Okay.
I would like to make a motion to approve PZ 2022-10, a 3-lot subdivision application, map 90, block 57, lot 16, East Road. The owner applicant is Carol Yeomans. This approval is granted subject to conformance with reference plans as may be modified by the commission and following additional conditions and modifications. Under reference plans, we have 4 findings. Under conditions what must be met prior to signing the Mylars, we have 1 through 11 on the first page and 12 through 19 on the second page, with the modification of condition 4F to read, to include a row of evergreen trees to screen the adjacent farming operations on lot 1 and 2. On lot 3 upon a non-familial transfer. This is in a memo from Ruth Ann Calabrese, the Director of Planning and Development, dated July 7th, 2022.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Dave. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Peg, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks for taking the time to look at some of those motions. We appreciate it.
Thank you for your volunteering and all of your time spent on this. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Good luck to you. Under old business, we have PZ 2022-8, 20 Thompson Road, a site plan modification that was tabled until 7/26. So we're moving on. We have no other old business to new business, PZ 2022-13, 16 Shoreham Road, site plan modification, construction of an 11,000 square foot building addition for maintenance phase. The applicant is USA Hauling and Recycling. Inc.
Evening. My name is Tim Kuhn. I'm a professional engineer with JR Russo Associates. I'll put up this board. I'm here tonight representing USA Hauling, along with Eric Frederickson behind me. Site that we are interested in is 16 Showham Road, which is located at the southwest end of Showham Road. This is an 8.36 acre lot, zone industrial, which currently has a 13,456 square foot building on it, which has office space as well as maintenance space for their fleet vehicles. And what we're here for tonight is a site plan modification. What is being proposed is an 11,000 square foot addition, shaded area on this plan. This will allow them to add 8 more maintenance space. It will be located in an area which is already impervious. We will be adding a little impervious for a little pavement to facilitate driving around the building in the corner, but to offset that, we will also be removing some pavement in that area as well. So the net is actually a reduction of about 866 square feet of impervious coverage. In addition, we'll have a recessed loading area in the back, so there will be some grading and repaving at the rear of the building. However, all the work is going to be confined to the area which is currently cleared and has currently been disturbed. We're not going beyond the limits of what's already been disturbed. Grading and pavement. We will be relocating, or actually we're adding a new catch basin because with the grading, the low spot changes. So we're adding a new catch basin in that low spot, but again, same amount of impervious coverage, so there's really no changes to the drainage at the site. There will be oil or floor drains inside the building. Will be connected to a new oil water separator located south of the building. Will then tie into the existing sanitary sewer. Otherwise, there's no bathrooms in the building, it's strictly maintenance space. We have recalculated the parking requirements based on the new or additional bays in the addition, and we have determined that the existing 47 spaces on the lot do meet the parking requirements for the 4 spaces. So it's pretty straightforward, again, in an area that's already pavement, so we can improve this. There are some retaining walls again to facilitate the grade changes for the loading dock on the rear. Just point those out. But, we do also have, I'll just pass this out because I did not submit them. We do have some architectural plans which show the floor plan and the elevation of the addition. In an industrial area, it is an industrial metal business.
Fancy.
Nothing.
Back of the building. in front.
Additions on the back. As you come up Showroom Road, This is kind of the face, the front of the building where the offices are, and the addition is around to the back.
But I got one question. I know I've been doing this a long time. Got issues with the neighbors on the other side. Has anybody come in and complained or anything like that? The last, they put up that fancy fence you had on that other side over there.
Any complaints? That's all I got.
And in fact, I think
Town
they've been
had complaints?
purchasing some of those properties over there. So
Okay. That was about 10 years ago.
yeah, I've been wondering.
Any additional lighting, site lighting?
No. No.
So you drive path around the building, it's gonna be dark.
As of now. Essentially, there will be maintenance, and there will be probably some cam lights on the building over the doors, but no additional site lighting to project anywhere beyond.
I think you mean wall packs on the building.
Yeah.
I mean,
No.
only two pedestrian doors total.
Yes, one on each side. Yeah. Eight doors, of course.
Are we still waiting to hear from the health department and fire marshal and the WPCA?
Yes, I know that Kim's been in contact with Art.
Yeah, with regard to the WPCA, really the only question there is whether or not there's going to be a connection fee for because the only thing that we're adding is about the Ford range, which really don't generate any substantial flow. So that's something we'll work out with them. The health department really doesn't have any, because we are connected to sanitary sewer. They probably, I wouldn't expect any comment from them. With regard to fire, we haven't heard from anyone either. We are maintaining access all the way around the building. So I would suspect that they're going to have any comments with regard to the site plan. Obviously, they'll have a chance to review the building, with their comments.
Well, it's, you know, it's just width of the fire truck going around.
Right. Yep. And well, we're also maintaining, we put the templates on there, because we got the trash trucks and larger trucks around there as well. So we're confident that the fire truck will be able to-
You can't tie into your existing store and avoid that fee.
Unfortunately,
It's not big enough.
the elevations don't work.
Oh.
You gotta get from my foreground way over here to tie it with the existing, and we're too low on our building.
Other questions from the commission? Sounds like, pending input isn't something we need to wait for.
It'll be caught with the building permits. That's kind of what they are also review or something.
Your first rodeo, that's the short.
Okay.
Mine couldn't find anything wrong with your work. Wow. Red pen out.
If people are, Bill, you have what you need. We have a draft motion. And would be put on the table.
I'll make a motion to approve application PZ 2022-08, site plan modification for 16 Showham Road, USA Hauling and Recycling. This approval is granted subject to the conformance with reference plans, which may be modified by the commission on this approval, and the following conditions and modifications. We have 1 through 14 listed on a memo from Lucan Calabrese, town planner, dated July 6, 2022.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Peg, that was Dave.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous, Peg.
Thank you.
Okay, we have nothing under other business. We have a some correspondence from Connecticut Water Company. Do you want to tell us what that is?
They have a project that they're notifying us on. It is the Stafford interconnection. And what they're doing is putting up like a contingent water flow. And because water would be coming from East Windsor, they're upgrading one of their stations, their treatment stations. So they'll be down certain 50% load at some time, 100% at other times. Right now, they're proposing to keep a minimal flow, 0.5 million gallons per day. But they would want to cover 100% of the supply as they're working on the Stafford Springs water treatment facility. At some point, they will have to shut off completely. So it kind of looks like a bypass. So they're getting, I think it's a diversion permit from DEEP. And part of that is to notify impacted municipalities.
So you water the ground, don't know why.
So they're gonna pump the wells
It's
in
kind
East Windsor harder.
Yes. Yeah. So that's why they. One of these, I think there's a customer at one end, that's a hospital. It's the Summers, they have a booster station and the doc.
That's all.
Part of phase one. After this report's all about, folks want copies of the report. Yes, stop by. Look up the cup.
Any questions from the commission
General questions?
on the
Oh, no.
Connecticut Water Company? Okay, we're moving to business meeting. It's an informal discussion on community investment fund, and the grant application for a new community center at Scout Hall.
Jason is here to have that discussion with us.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for making the accommodation to sneak this onto the agenda tonight. So we have been working now for quite a while. Hang on a second, I got feedback happening. Over there, we'll be fine. So we've been working now for quite a while on formulating a plan in concert with the Scout Hall Building Committee to do an 8,000 square foot addition onto that building. And you can see Dave, you can see the renderings over your left shoulder there. So we have come to terms in terms of lease control of the building. We have developed an MOU with them. And this kind of started back a ways when we were trying to brainstorm how could we prepare municipal services for the best delivery in the community services space. And Joe, myself, Melissa Maltesi, Ruth, Mike, Selectman Baker, a number of folks have been kind of throwing whatever we can in terms of spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks. We looked at Solent North. We looked at the Broadbrook Mill. We looked at new construction on the Kogut property. We looked at acquiring a military base on Phelps Road. We looked at acquiring the old Chestnut Point. I guess it's I care at Touch Points now. We looked at doing an addition on the annex. And by far the option that was the most feasible and the most viable was to do an addition onto Scout Hall. This will require a referral to you guys. So this is kind of an informal, so I can answer any questions about that. Certainly Ruth, Mike, and Joe can chime in, between the three of them, they know more about this than I do. But we're in the process now of applying for what's called a Community Investment Fund grant. That would potentially bridge the gap in funding necessary to complete the project. What we're going to do at Scout Hall is we're going to build an 8,000 square foot addition by putting a 30-foot ring in every direction around the building. That will provide a 6-foot hallway, and it will also provide 24 feet of programming space in the associated direction. That will double the square footage of Scout Hall. It will allow us to co-locate all of community services in one place. That's Melissa Maltesi's department. So it's social services, senior services, and parks and recreation. It will create a one-stop shopping opportunity, if you will, for people in the community who are trying to figure out how do they apply for different government assistance programs, whether it's renter's rebate or Medicaid or Medicare or food stamps or what have you. As it happens right now, typically somebody who's eligible for one of those programs is going to be eligible for another one, but they need to go to two different locations in the town of East Windsor. They need to go to the senior center for a piece of it. They need to go to the town hall annex for another piece of it. So we understand that the population in East Windsor is 10% older than the population in Hartford County. Just let that sink in for a second. East Windsor's population is 10% older than our neighboring communities. That means we need to be making sure we're shifting the focus for that service delivery to where the needs are going to be. We've been talking for more than 20 years about what the future home of the senior center is going to be. And in the last 6 months, we have gotten beyond serious about it. So the Scout Hall Building Committee has had a 99-year lease agreement on the property. They have agreed, assuming that we can secure funding for it, we've agreed to extinguish that. So the Board of Finance took $1.2 million in the operating surplus from our last fiscal year, and they parked it in a capital fund to offset the cost of the project. And that's one of the things that I think is really a lot of fun, is that our project is going to cost $5 million. That's architecture and engineer estimated costs for the project. By contrast, the town of Windsor Locks happens to be going through the same process. They're going to build a 19,000 square foot senior center only, and it's going to cost them about $14 million. We're going to build a community center, a multi-generational community center that will cost the town $5 million. The reason for that cost disparity is because we already own the property, we already own the building, and most, although not all, of the infrastructure is already there, which takes that price tag and it makes it a much more reasonable number to approach our voters with. So the total cost is expected to be $5 million. The Board of Finance has already parked 25% of that in a capital fund for the project. And we have options for how we're going to get the remainder of that funding in place. One of those options is called congressionally directed spending, starting from the top and working my way down. One of those options is called congressionally directed spending, which is the new buzzword for federal earmark. So I put in 4 applications for earmarks during the last round. This was the second priority that we put in, the first one being an emergency radio system for first responders in East Windsor. On conversation with the folks in Senator Murphy's office, I said, so how are you coming up with your determinations for what's going to be Senator Murphy's priority versus the municipality's priority? How do you come to that? And she said, that's actually a really interesting question. It depends on what you're applying for. So as I said, the first priority was a grant for the emergency radio system. That puts us into a Senate Appropriations Subcommittee for Homeland Security. Very competitive nationwide. So I said to her, she said the likelihood of that happening is not great. So I said, what's the likelihood of the community center happening? She said, that is actually much better. And here's why. That program falls under a USDA subcommittee appropriation subcommittee for community facilities. So in order to be eligible for that, you need to be in a municipality below a population threshold and be doing a qualifying project, which we are. So there is significantly less competition for those funds. If we were awarded CDS money, they would cover 55% of the project costs. So on a $5 million project, that's just about $2.8 million. Plus we have 1.2 million from the last fiscal year surplus that we already parked, which means we would conceivably have 4 million of the 5 million we already need available. Now, if that, lightning should strike and we find ourselves in that circumstance, we would be getting the same thing or a comparable building to what the town of Windsor Locks is getting for 1/4 the costs. That is stealing. And we're really excited about that. But we're also not putting all of our eggs in that basket because, Congress is Congress and you never know how many continuing resolutions they're going to do before, they move on. So there's a state program that's funded through the state's appropriation from the American Rescue Plan Act called the Community Investment Fund. That program, we've met with the point person from DECD a couple of times on that. And it's conceivable that if we were funded this project, if this project was funded through CIF, they would cover the balance of the outstanding costs. So we have 1.2 million, they would potentially cover 3.8 million and we're done. Now that's competitive. There's only 54 towns in Connecticut that are eligible to apply. We are one of them. So that puts us, at least in the conversation. And when we were looking at the criteria for what they were looking for, the CIF seems to be aiming directly at the community center. It's transformational. It improves the quality of life. It's infrastructure based. It's shovel ready because we have the architectural and engineering plans almost in hand. We are checking all of the boxes for that. Now they're going to do 5 rounds of CIF awards, or I'm sorry, 10 rounds over the next 5 years, 2 a year for the next 5 years. If we don't get funded for this project in that first one, the opportunity will have passed us by. And the reason for that is because I'm a proponent of major community decisions being made by high turnout elections. So that means that we have the gubernatorial election coming up. This will be a ballot question in the November election to authorize up to $3.8 million in bonds for the completion of this $5 million project. So if we miss the first round of CIF, or if we don't get the CDS, the option still remains that we could finance this locally. Now, $3.8 million for people here in town is a lot of money. But 2 years ago, we did an added appropriation for $3.5 million to pay off existing debt. What that did is it freed up $10 million worth of bond capacity available in our operating budget without having to increase our debt service line. So we took $3.50 and we turned it into $10, and we can spend that money now without increasing the debt service budget on the town. So there, as you can see, there are 3 very viable ways that this could financially come together. The timeline that we've set has been ambitious. So far, we are absolutely on target with that. So the negotiations with Scout Hall were completed on or about the 4th of July. The Board of Selectmen approved the new contract terms with them and the resolution to get it onto the ballot last Thursday. The Board of Finance is scheduled to do the same thing tomorrow, and it's unlikely that they won't because they already put 25% of the money into a capital fund for this. So it would be out of order for them to reverse course at this point. That leaves us just with a town meeting, which is discussion only, and then the vote in November, and we are home free on this. So it looks like this is a very viable project. One of the things that we are kind of scurrying quickly to get in place now is that CIF application, because that's due July 25th. In order to hit that, the town meeting has to approve my signature authorizing us to apply for it, which needs to happen next Thursday, which means the selectmen have to have a special meeting tomorrow night in order to get that. So you can kind of see how everything comes together quite quickly, but it is coming together. So at some point, this is going to become a planning and zoning commission issue. So I wanted to make sure you guys were aware of it in whatever graphic detail you would like to be at this point in time, so that when it comes to you, hopefully it's a quick stop. We already know about this and it's on its way. I'm going to invite Commissioner Sauerhofer to add any comments he has to that, and then Ruth and Mike as well. But it's important to note that Joe has been ground floor with this since this was just a doodle on a napkin. So Joe, did I miss anything?
No, you're good.
Ruth, Mike?
I would just say that, the whole, having that much money, the state having, I think it's $175 million per year for the next 5 years to give out to those qualifying communities. It's exciting. It's new to them. They're being very customer focused, I'd say. And it's happening quick. Mike is doing Billman's workload on this. And the 25th, July 25th is the submittal date. So it's
I think that the hope is that, well, when we draft the final grant application, we can include that a discussion was held with the Planning and Zoning Commission and that you were in support of the project as folks that need to do the 824 review, including that in the application up front, I think makes the submission stronger. So obviously this is informal, as Jason said, but you as a whole were in support of it, we would be able to include that, and I think that makes things tighter.
Do you need a vote indicating our support, or?
Wouldn't hurt. certainly makes things more cohesive.
Question, Jason. So the fire department will get the whole upstairs now themselves?
So we haven't made any spatial determinations as to the space we'll be vacating yet, but that seems to make the most sense. They need the space. It provides them an opportunity to spread out a little bit. Their leadership team is the chief, the assistant chief, and the deputy chief. Up until very recently, the deputy chief's office was a chair.
I saw, yeah.
They're shoehorned in there pretty good, and this would make some sense for them. And probably by the town, another 15 or 20 years before we need to start thinking about them growing out of that space. The same thing, well, we don't have any idea yet what we're going to do at the annex specifically, but there has been an expressed need from the police department for additional locker room space for their growing female contingent. There is the potential that we could shift around some things so that our emergency operations center was in a different location. There are a number of things that we still need to figure out in terms of the use of that space, but we're certainly not wanting for it here. We have tight spatial constraints as it is.
Well, I know already that they have their bunk room upstairs and their weight room upstairs and they're sleeping up there at night trying to, they're out down below. That's all I got. Great idea.
Just question out of curiosity. I always had the impression Scout Hall was not a town building, that it was run and owned by, say, Boy Scouts or somebody, and community groups could rent it. But I could be totally wrong.
So it is a town-owned building. It's on town-owned land, and the Scout Hall building has a 99-year lease on the building. They've agreed to extinguish a large portion of that lease, which would give us total operational control of the building in the addition. The caveat to that, and in the MOU that was negotiated, is that their mission needs to be preserved. Their mission is to provide programming space for youth groups. Well, that largely dovetails with what our mission is from the Park and Recreation perspective. We want to be able to provide programming and space for youth groups. It provides additional space. If you're looking at the rendering there in the center, it provides additional space for programming for civic groups. So the Lions Club and the Rotary Club could both meet at the same time at the same place while the Boy Scouts were doing a thing. But the biggest new utilization of the space is that the assembly hall is going to remain largely intact. It's actually going to get a little bit bigger. And that could serve as the primary congregation area for the senior center during the day, during the week, and then be available for things like the Pinewood Derby or the Blue and Gold Banquet or whatever the issue is, nights and weekend. But it provides seniors ample congregate space, and it also provides them programming space with some privacy associated with it. So if they're talking with an attorney getting legal advice, or if they're talking with somebody who's helping them prepare their taxes or some basic medical care, they have privacy to do that now. Currently, we put up screens and we try and make sure that the activities are not too close to the congregate meals or not too close to the social service component of things. So it makes a lot of sense in terms of improving the quality of our service delivery.
But wasn't there at one point in time, someone rented it for like a craft fair or those kind of things? So would it be open for, I'll call it rent for community activities?
So we have we have rental space now. For example, I just rented the park this past weekend for my daughter's first birthday party. That money goes into a dedicated fund that's then recycled into parks and recreation programs. The MOU that we negotiated with Scout Hall was that if there are any rentals for fees, those funds would be deposited in the same way, and it would go back towards Parks and Recreation youth club. So we may still continue doing some component of the space rentals. That's not going to be our business model. We're not in this to make money, but to the extent that we are doing those rentals, those funds would be cycled back into providing additional programming for youth groups.
So the plan is this basically is Scout Hall? This, this,
The kitchen.
and then this is the front, this is the kitchen. We're gonna move a wall here, make the kitchen bigger to provide the 5'8" walkway around it. And we're going to add restrooms with showers. So in fact, we need a shelter. Now we have shelter with showers, because right now we currently don't have a shelter with showers.
What do you do if you need shelter? I thought, was the high school open when people were out of power?
There's only two or three showers that work at the high school, two
Two.
showers.
That's all?
Yeah, they don't use the schools like, you know, when we
Oh,
were
when
all
I went
kids.
to school,
Yeah.
you took showers after
Not
gym
anymore,
class.
not anymore, apparently.
Oh.
So, and then, we currently struggle for all Melissa's food stuff, so we're adding a dry goods. This office here will provide privacy for the lead person for the senior center, who brings people in and talks about their taxes and their blood pressure and all that.
My dad.
And then, you know, we call it a game room because some seniors have shown interest in wanting a pool
Like
table,
cards? Oh.
cards, and then a fitness room. And then we have the storage area. Now, currently the scouts, this is the scout room. If you
So is the
recall.
fitness room where they do chair yoga and stuff?
They'll be able to do chair yoga, there'll be cycles in there. That's the whole point there. And then we move this, we're gonna give the scouts a dedicated room with the closet, because currently there's a closet going across here. Well, we're gonna take that out and then move on. There's extra program rooms. And then Park and Rec would be here, which is about the same size office they have now, the director. And then this is going to be like our resource room. It's gonna get a little smaller. This is an old. we
What's a
keep tweaking
resource
it.
room?
Copy
Computer,
machine.
copy, you know, like
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
Because right now Melissa's scattered, she's got
Yeah.
3 different offices.
So the whole, across the whole back will be a full basement for storage. Because Melissa now, seasonal, she does backpacks, they do, you know, they pack backpacks, they do Christmas stuff. Right now, we have rooms in the annex full of all her stuff, closets. No, strictly, no, you know, no public access, staircase down, right across. Our sprinkler system will probably go in this corner.
Exterior hatch, no exterior.
Nope, all interior. So in this room, so you come in the hallway to get out, you come down and go in, and then be able to, you know, bring the stuff up and then use this room as a lay down room.
Generator in the whole place.
Eventually,
Is it for emergency?
I know there's one there now, but it's too small.
the generator located there now runs the pump station only.
Oh, that's right.
That's it. So eventually, yes. No, I mean, we're
Phase
$5
two.
million and y'all know how fast 5 million is gonna go.
So for things like when they did the COVID vaccines, I got mine done at the Enfield Senior Center, and it was a interesting facility. It was huge.
Yeah.
And it worked really well for it because they.
Well, we'll have good flow. This building's perfect flow. As far as that goes, like the Vernon one also, then the Vernon one, you walked all around and then came in and then they sat you down and then you walked out and then out.
Yeah,
So we'll have a hallway that goes all the way around, you know,
Is this building-
not yet.
Really?
Well, it has to be.
That's it.
Yeah, it has. to be. So
That's a great idea.
we want to run the water line down from Route 5, give it, because right now it currently runs off a well.
So we'll have water, sewer. and gas
Sewer's already there.
Yes.
Gas is already there.
Just need a generator.
Well, the infrastructure will be there. You know, we always have our 100 kW, we can pull there.
So you're putting switch gear in that already have the transfer switch and all that?
That's the plan.
So the town owns 100 kW.
We have 100
generator,
kW.
Full line, which they can feed.
Yeah.
When they do it, they can put a.
We'll put a box in now. Well, we'll probably do it after the fact if we can't include it in the project. But right now, currently, all the mechanicals, all the electrical comes in here. So we'll be able to, you know, but the grades here, this building's almost, the front of this building is almost a foot below grade. It's all in a hole. The sills are all rotted. So, you know, we gotta do a lot of changes, but.
A massage.
Yeah.
Good idea, though. Good idea.
it is a
And
good
then
idea.
Parks will have its own entrance here.
We have to expand the parking lot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We don't have to do anything in the parking lot.
There's
We
enough
could- we
parking.
could pave the
Plenty of
second-
parking here. Back. Plus, behind where the barn is, that's all gravel and overflow parking, but we have the backyard already. Where Park and Rec, this will be the Park and Rec entrance. We'll put some spots there, and then, the whole front is all, and the upside to this building, it's all ADA. It's all one level. There's no, nothing.
You're gonna move up picnic tables and stuff there on the back.
We're gonna have to move the pavilion and those trees out. We'll just take that pavilion and probably move it, somewhere. And then our future plan is off this side, which you can't really see, but to put a patio out here with a nice little cafe, so then they can, they can go, the seniors can go out there and have coffee outside, just to make it a whole destination for seniors.
Soccer fields remain, obviously.
Soccer fields remain. We have $800,000 to put lights on those and do some other park work. So we're really gonna try to vitalize this whole, give it a good shot in the arm.
Perfect. Can't wait to get old.
That's actually one of the other points that's really enticing about the project at Scout Hall is we already have state funds, no local dollars at all, for the installation of lights at the Abbey Road soccer fields, which are already some of the best in the region. And now we're going to light them up so we can actually do, more of a more pronounced events there. This is dovetailing nicely because of the money that's coming from away. We're not spending a ton of local dollars, but we are spending truckloads of state and federal money to make these improvements around town. And this is a really unique opportunity that's not going to come around again. So we're very excited about this. This has been a labor of love for Joe, Melissa, and I for years. And to see others, stepping up and helping out as we move through this, Mike, Ruth, to a degree, is very encouraging. It's very exciting to see the momentum here and that we could actually do something so impactful. And there are not many roadblocks left in the way.
Jason, question, you've always kind of had a master plan of the old children's center there, making that into a town complex. Would this take the place of that, or that would still?
No, that would take the place of this. So for a couple of reasons, the DCF spends $12 million a year operating that facility, and it houses about 30 to 35 kids, $12 million a year. And you say to yourself, like, that is just an obscene amount of money for that population base. And they are quick to turn around that they get reimbursed by the federal government $14 million to operate that building. So they actually make money on it, which means they are not going to be in a position for the foreseeable where they're interested in vacating that. The other thing is the vision that I had articulated with you all during the last POCD, when I was hot to trot on that, was locating all of municipal services in that space. Well, when you actually start to look at what they have, that would still be cavernous for the staff levels that we have, inclusive of the PD. We have, give or take, we have about 95 employees in town. You could easily do half of that facility and have adequate space for all of that. And I just don't see that as a likely option anytime soon. Whereas this came about because, again, we were looking at a million different options for this, including Solent North. We were looking at a million different options for this. And the Scout Hall folks said, have you thought about Scout Hall? So lightning is striking here, and we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of it and not saying, well, maybe the better deal is going to come down the road in 10 or 15 years. And maybe it's not, but let's wait and see. That would be a miss.
Mike, do you think you could on the fly write something that we could?
Oh, you want to vote of support, right?
I think a motion to support submission of the application.
Is that all? You mean?
Does that sound like it works for you guys?
Yeah, because
that there's a need in the town and.
we can also amend, Mike, we can amend our submission after the 25th. That's one of the things that Matt said on the call yesterday. So we could do a proper 824 referral, but as long as we can include in the application that we have the support of the PZC, to your point, I think the application is stronger, and then we can do some of the left foot, right foot stuff we need to do to cross our T's and dot our I's.
Works for me.
So all you want is a motion of support.
Okay. Work.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion that we, as a commission, support the furtherment of this project, that it goes forward.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's a conflict, I'm gonna say.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Peg, for the record, Joe abstained.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you all very much for your preliminary support of this. It is really exciting. And I think it could be a really good thing for the community. Just to, not to beat a dead horse, but we recently did a Korean War veterans commemorative ceremony beginning in June. And this guy, 93 years old, who challenged the lieutenant governor to a push-up contest and probably could have beat her. Saying that he doesn't go to the East Windsor Senior Center. He goes to the South Windsor Senior Center. And I hear that people go to the Ellington one, and I hear that people go to the Enfield one. And I want to get to a point where we can provide the services here that are going to draw people from away. You know, like, let's put ourselves on the map with something really positive. And I think this is a big part of that. So thank you.
I've been there. It's not-
Nice job, Jay. Thank you.
Thank you, Jojo.
Okay.
Appreciate your vote.
We have nothing for executive session, so a motion to adjourn would be in order.
Well, I got one comment. On each page, a long time ago, there's motion. We used to have, we read it like, motion 1 through 10 on page 1, and it'd be like motion 15 through 20 on page 2. These used to be numbered. They used to be easier that way.
Oh, the page numbers.
Yeah, just on a motion, motion approved, one through whatever page 1. That's all. That's all I got.
Thanks, Jim.
Well.
Okay, all those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
So who made and who seconded?
Nobody second.
Come on, Chris.
I'm second.
Okay, we're
Well,
adjourned.
adjourned.
My truck washed.
Good thing, Jimmy.
It's nice. Parking right in the garage. You got grass wash?
I've watched it in the back of the truck today.
Okay. Good night, all.
Good night.
See ya.
Great night, everybody.
You too.